Les Eyzies is a somewhat isolated village on the Rivière Beaune in the south of France. The town is not far from the famous Bordeaux region. The region also boasts a famous resident, French film star Gérard Depardieu. Les Eyzies is famous for another resident, Cro-Magnon Man. It is now largely a tourist town home to Le Musée National de Préhistoire. In 1869, a construction crew was working on a roadway project in the southwest of France. When the workers blasted through rock, they discovered a hidden cave. In the back of the cave were human skeletons and skulls. There were 4 specimens uncovered, partially embedded in the limestone rock. Naturally, they assumed the bones had been buried there relatively recently, but when expert geologists were brought in, the skeletons were estimated to be 30,000 years old. Cro-Magnon Man. Smithsonian. The Cro-Magnon remains is the representative of the earliest anatomically modern human beings to appear in Western Europe. From efossils.org, Cro-Magnon 1 consists of a relatively complete cranium and associated mandible belonging to an adult male dating approximately 32,000 years ago. Cro-Magnon 1 is the archetypal specimen. It represents other famous fossils such as Slate Kun, Bakokiro in Bulgaria, and Oase Uno in Romania. Britannica. Cro-Magnons were robustly built and powerful, about 5 feet 7 inches tall. The body was generally heavy and solid with strong musculature. Note the prominent chin and the large globular-shaped skull. Continuing, the forehead was straight with slight brow ridges and the face short and wide. They were the first humans to have a prominent chin. Harvard Gazette. Skull and face changes define modern humans. There is much data that show an outburst of cultural behavior occurring around 50 to 40,000 years ago in Europe. Britannica lists brain size for Cro-Magnon at 1600 cc, but other references such as prehistoric Britain has it even higher at 1660 cc. efossils.org. The Cro-Magnon skeleton displays classic modern human characteristics such as high vertical forehead, large cranial capacity. Cro-Magnon had a higher percentage of Neanderthal DNA admixture, 4 to 8%. Neanderthal brain capacity ranged from 1450 cc to 1600 cc. Descendants of Cro-Magnon survived Ice Age Europe. Dates for Cro-Magnon are typically cited as 46,000 years ago to 30,000 years ago, followed by Gravettians, but a redating of a mandibles discovered in Spain is causing a re-evaluation of that 45,000-year-old date. Quarrymen digging at a site near Barcelona in 1889 discovered a mandible of what appeared to be an early human. It was looked at by some anthropologists. They assumed it was just another Neanderthal specimen. The mandible was thrown in a drawer and forgotten about for 120 years. A PhD student in archaeology, Brian Keeling of the University of Binghamton, New York, was researching the fossil. He and his academic advisor used new CT scanning on the mandible. It was not a Neanderthal. Rather, they concluded it was likely a very early modern human in Europe. The mandible was redated to 56,000 years ago. Ignacio Martinez at the Catalan News, quote, "This would be the oldest evidence of the presence of our species in Europe," end quote. Continuity in Europe from Cro-Magnon to modern Europeans. A study was published in Nature March 2023 that a population of Western Gravettians, descendants of Cro-Magnon, survived the last glacial maximum. A 23,000-year-old skeleton from an individual discovered in a cave in Andalusia was genetically linked to an Aurignacian-associated individual, Goyet, in today's Belgium. As Johannes Krauss, a co-author of the paper, outlines, quote, "This suggests Iberia as a southern refuge for Ice Age Europeans." Another study sponsored by the EU was conducted in 2012 by Professor Ron Peñasi on the demography of Ice Age Europeans. He found that although they roamed in very small groups, they survived. From Horizon EU 2015, quote, "As an archaeologist and anthropologist, I was quite shocked to see how small the population numbers were. Shockingly small," end quote, said Professor Peñasi. Archaic European genetic legacy survived the Ice Age. Trenton Holliday is a professor of paleoanthropology at Louisiana State University in Baton Rouge. His new book, Cro-Magnon, The Story of the Last Ice Age Peoples of Europe, jacket cover. He considers how the Cro-Magnons responded to Earth's post-glacial warming almost 12,000 years ago. Holliday's PhD advisor was famed Neanderthal expert Professor Eric Trinkaus. The two have co-authored papers together, including Body Mass in Pleistocene Homo. Trinkaus found anatomical similarities with human fossils at African sites, but also noted certain features that were distinct. Trinkaus, quoted from Washington University Newsroom 2003, quote, "The bones are also fully compatible with the blending of modern human and Neanderthal populations," end quote. Professor Holliday appeared on an episode of Evolution Soup on February 13, 2024. Holliday held up Cro-Magnon skull replicas. Quote, "Some of these specimens, these early Europeans, fall within the range of people today. And for me, that's not something so surprising," end quote. European hunter-gatherers from the late Pleistocene, Post-glacial Maximum, carried the genetic legacy of Cro-Magnon. As Professor Holliday suggests, that legacy carries on to modern European populations today. Thank you for watching. Make sure to subscribe and please pass this video on to others. We'll see you soon.